Good morning and welcome to the First Unitarian Society of Madison. My name is Kelly Aspreuth Jackson, and I am one of the ministers here. Today I am joined by my colleague, the Reverend Kelly Crocker, and by the worship team of Drew Collins, Linda Warren, Stephen Gregorius, and Daniel Carnes. A very special welcome and thank you to our Meeting House Choir for being with us and sharing your gifts with us today. At First Unitarian Society, we question boldly, listen humbly, grow spiritually, act courageously, and love unapologetically. If you are visiting us today, welcome. We are so glad that you are with us. If you would like more information about First Unitarian Society, please stop by the welcome table located in the Commons just through those doors and to your left. We hope you will be able to stay and join us for coffee hour immediately after the service, also in the Commons. For those connecting with us virtually today, we are very glad that you are with us as well. And we hope that you will be able to take a moment to see the announcement slides shown briefly after today's service to learn about upcoming programs and activities. Now we have one special announcement to share today. With the help of our welcoming congregation renewal team, we are beginning the Great Name Tag Project. We would like to incorporate what is now a very common practice among UU congregations, many schools, and some workplaces of using pronouns on our name tags. Now, you may ask yourself, why does this matter? Many of us who are cisgender people, folks whose gender identity aligns with their sex assigned at birth, have never had to think about our pronouns. We can take them for granted because our pronouns have always aligned with our gender identity. This means that for most cis men, he, him feels and sounds right, and for most cis women, she, her feels and sounds right. But imagine, if you will, if someone always used the wrong pronoun for you, even after you corrected them. At the least, it would feel and sound strange, and at worst, it could be extremely hurtful and alienating. Many people whose identities do not fit into the gender binary or whose gender doesn't align with their sex assigned at birth face being called by the wrong pronoun on a day-to-day basis. It is one of many experiences which can make them feel unwelcome. Using the correct pronoun for someone is a crucial way to show that you recognize, acknowledge, and accept who they are. Additionally, understanding a pronoun doesn't tell you everything about someone's gender and is an important way to show that you understand that gender identity is complex and varied, and that everyone's just a little bit different. So out in the Commons today, you will find a table with a sign reading, The Great Name Tag Project. There is also a little more information about pronouns and why they matter, and you will find a name tag request form there. We encourage you to fill one out so that we can get going on making new name tags for all of us. Now, as an added benefit, we will now have more uniform name tags that fit more neatly into the space allotted and can be more cleanly organized for ease of use and navigation. We know that our name tags have changed over the years and that the name tag rack can be a little bit of a nightmare sometimes. This is one small step in making that place more accessible and easier to use. But someone out there is asking, what if I really deeply love my old name tag? I encourage you to bring it home, cherish it, find a place of honor. No. I'm not joking. You're allowed to be attached to objects. That's not bad. Place of honor in your home, in your car, some other place that is important to you. And if you find that your particular name tag does have some dear, important meaning, we are not trying to disrupt that. So if you need to hang on to your existing name tag, what we'd love to offer you are some name tag pronoun stickers so that you can adapt to our changing environment. Questions? Well, the welcoming congregation team members will be in the Commons during coffee hour and would love to speak with you. And now, I invite you to join me in a moment of silence as we center ourselves and bring ourselves fully into this time as we join together once again in community.
Come in, all who long to know how to love the world.
How to keep eyes open, hands unclenched, arms wide.
Breathing deeply in and out. This is a time to practice because there is still so much good and beauty and joy.
But it can be hard to keep telling this tale with all the news and the wind and the rain and the trembling earth. Who wants to love this life anyway?
Come in, all who teeter on this edge of cynicism, broken-hearted and trying still to remember laughter and kindness and the chance to be alive in these days when so much is at stake.
In this place, we remind each other why we persist, giving each other courage to take this path that is not always easy, to keep practicing this love that cannot, will not let us go, and still calls us on.
Come, let us worship together. And we invite you now to rise in all the ways we do. Join in our words of affirmation as we light our chalice. This light we kindle is set in the lamp of our history. We inherit this free faith from the brave and gentle, fierce and outspoken hearts and minds that have come before us. Let us be worthy inheritors of this faith, and through our good works, pass it boldly to a new generation. And before we join in our opening hymn, we invite you to take a moment to turn and greet those around you.
Now let's sing together our opening hymn, number 6, in the gray hymnal, Just as Long as I Have Breath. Just as long as I have breath, I must answer yes to life. Though with pain I made my way, still with hope I lead.
closer to come on up for our story. Morning. What you got? Oh, Pokemon cards? Oh, those are cool. Who's your favorite one? I'm a Charizard fan myself. What do you think? Let me see. Whoa, Glaceon. Okay, that is a cool card. Hey, guys. Ooh, a fighter card. We'll just talk Pokemon instead. How's your morning? Happy Sunday. It's nice to see you all. So our story today is from Ethiopia, and it starts once many moons ago. There was a young boy in a village in Ethiopia, and he lived with his father, and they were very happy. Now, his father came home from the market one day, and he had all of the boy's favorite foods. And he made a huge dinner and told him that he had the best news. He found someone he wanted to marry, and the boy was going to have a stepmother. Now, wasn't this the best news ever? The boy did not think so. He wasn't happy. He was mad. He was upset. And no matter what his new stepmother did, he wasn't going to like her because he was convinced that she was going to treat him badly, and nothing she could do would convince him otherwise. Now, she really was a very kind woman, and she loved him very much. She would go to the market and get all of his favorite foods and make his favorite dinners. And do you think he would eat them? Nope. She went to the market and she bought new clothes, beautiful new clothes. But do you think he would wear them? No. Nope. One day she found the most incredible pair of shoes for him and brought them home and was all excited. And do you know what he did? He threw them in the river. Who does that?
Not me.
Not me. Definitely. If you want to bring me shoes, I promise I won't throw them in the river.
There's no rivers around.
I could throw them in a lake, Thea. Don't throw your shoes in a lake. We got a lot of those. No, we won't. You know of a river? We got some rivers, right? So the stepmother was so upset that she would just cry and cry and cry. Now, one day in the market, she saw the wisest elder in the whole village and told him, what am I going to do? Here's all the things. I've tried food. I've tried clothes. I tried these shoes. He will not love me. And the elder said, oh, I have the answer. I can help you. I need you to go and get 3 whiskers from a live lion. What? She said, what? The lion will eat me up. The lion will tear me to shreds. Do you think you could just walk up to a lion and say, can I have 3 of those and just pluck them?
No.
No. It would try and eat you, right? It wouldn't understand you. What do you think? I mean, if you went up to a house cat and tried to pull out its whiskers, it's not going to be happy with you, right? It would try to scratch you. So a lion, being much bigger and much more ferocious, would probably try to eat you. Exactly. So the elder said, I don't know how, I can't tell you how to get the whiskers. I'm just telling you, bring me 3 whiskers from a live lion and we'll figure it out. So the stepmother left the village and she walked and walked for days to a place where she had heard there was a lion. And so she approached and she hid behind a tree and she looked, and there he was. And he was huge and he was nasty, and he would just crawl out and let out this loud growl that shook the whole forest. So she thought, what am I going to do? So she took a couple days and she thought about this, and she returned with meat. And she kind of dropped the meat far away from the lion and ran away. And the lion came out, ate up all the meat, and went back. So the next day, she went back with the meat, put it a little bit closer. And again, he came out and ate it all up. Every day for weeks, She would put a little bit of meat a little bit closer until eventually the lion thought of this woman as a friend. He became happy to see her. He was looking for her. And so one day she got a little bolder and she put the meat in her hand. Now, I'm just saying, if you put a treat in your hand in front of my dog, he's going to take your whole hand off. It's ridiculous. I can't fix this problem. So what do you think if you put meat in your hand and stuck it in front of a lion?
He's gonna eat yours.
He could eat your whole arm off. But what did the lion do? The lion just carefully ate the meat and then went back to sleep. So for a couple days, she did this. She put her hand out. One day she reached forward and pet the lion a little bit. And then finally, after a few days of this, feeding the meat, she reached forward and she plucked 3 whiskers. She had them. So she went running all the way back to her village. And she found the elder and she said, I did it, I did it, I did it. I have 3 whiskers. What do I do with them? Nothing. What do you mean, nothing? The elder's answer was nothing. You don't need the whiskers anymore. You can just throw them away. What? What?
So weird.
The elder said, you learned how to make a lion love you. Now, if you can do that with a giant, nasty lion, you can definitely do it with the boy. And that is what she did. What do you think the moral of that story is? Hold out meat to people. Rudy says it's hold out meat to people that you want to have like you. We'll go with broccoli, tofu. Kelly's tofu is amazing. Your ministers say hold out tofu to people that you love. I think it's about patience. For those of you that have people in your life, we all do, right? Parents, some of us have siblings, friends. We need patience when we're dealing with them, right? Sometimes it takes a little while for us to figure things out. All right. We are going to sing you out to your classes. Thanks for coming up.
Let's rise in body and or in spirit to sing together our hymn number 95, There Is More Love Somewhere. Find it.
a Buddhist teaching story that says, on one occasion, the Buddha was dwelling at Savatthi in Jeddah's grove. When the night had advanced, a certain spirit of stunning beauty, illuminating the entire grove, approached the Blessed One. Having approached, he paid homage to the Blessed One, stood to one side, and said to him, "How, dear sir, did you cross the flood?" "By not halting, friend, and by not straining, I crossed the flood." "But how is it, dear sir, that by not halting and by not straining, you crossed the flood?" "When I came to a standstill, friend, then I sank. But when I struggled, then I got swept away. It is in this way, friend, that by not halting and by not straining, I crossed the flood." The celestial being responded, "After a long time at last, I see a Brahmin who is fully quenched, who by not halting, not straining, has crossed over attachment to the world." This is what the Spirit said. The teacher approved. Then the Spirit, thinking the teacher has approved of me, paid homage to the Blessed One, and keeping him on the right, disappeared. When I met with Alice Delaquess, who won this sermon at last year's Cabaret auction, she shared this teaching as something that has been getting her through the days. She asked me to answer the question, what do we do when we look at the state of the world, at the misery in so many lives? How do we hold it all without falling into despair? Alice shared that this teaching has been helping her answer the question. I did some looking into the deeper meaning of this story. I am by no means an interpreter of Buddhist teachings, but here's what I found. The flood here represents life itself, the flood of our existence, the flood of all that happens to us in the span of our years, the fear, the worry, the helplessness, all that overwhelms and threatens to drown us. The question of crossing the flood can really be asked in the face of all we encounter in these lives of ours. What are we to do? The question wasn't, how do we stop the flood? Or how do we avoid the flood? Or how do we keep the flood from happening in the first place? It was, how do we cross the flood? Because we know the storms and troubles of life will come. How do we endure? The answer comes by not halting and by not straining do we cross the flood. When we stop, we sink. When we struggle, we get swept away. What then do we do? My interpretation of this teaching is that to stop when we are in the flood is to give in to the depths of despair. Despair is a reasonable reaction to the world we live in. I feel it when my 12-year-old becomes fascinated with a creature that is new to him and then asks if I think it will still be here when he's a grown-up. I feel it when I read the never-ending news articles of climate disasters, attacks on LGBTQ rights, women, children, people of color, ones who desperately want to build a new life here in this country of seeming abundance. When we learn more and more about the violence, hatred, and anger around the globe. When I feel it most deeply, I realize that despair is the kind of thing that creeps up and grows when I'm not paying attention. And suddenly, there is so much of it that I'm sinking into the waters of the flood. Viktor Frankl, psychotherapist, author, Holocaust survivor, drew on his own experience when he said, "Everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's way. Despair is problematic in many ways. It makes us believe that the here and now is all there is and all that ever will be, that the future is already written and inevitable. It stops us from seeing what is possible, and it stops our will to keep fighting, keep marching, keep writing, keep trying, because what is the point? Despair is a self-fulfilling prophecy. We know we can't win, so we give up and we give away our agency. Despair makes it all the more likely that our worst fears will come to pass because we feel all other choices are gone. Yet Frankl was right when he said we must remember that we can choose our way. We can choose our response to what is happening in our homes, our community, our world. Looking for the glimmers of hope and possibility, the small victories we see. People organizing, politicians listening. My dear friend from college was just elected on Tuesday to her local school board. Guys, she doesn't have kids. She just likes them and wants them to have schools. Seeing young people who know and feel in their very selves the dangers of this world, and yet they still choose to act. As the environmental activist and author Donella Meadows writes, there is too much bad news to justify complacency. There is too much good news to justify despair. If we stop, we sink. But what about the struggle? How do we not get swept away in it all? I think we know what the struggle that this teaching is referring to is all about. All those moments in our lives when we want things to be different, when we want this life to be different, when our lives and this world are very much not to our liking. We push it away, we fight against it, we struggle. Alice also shared with me this poem from Wendell Berry. I go among trees and sit still. All my stirring becomes quiet. Around me like circles on water. My tasks lie in their places where I left them, asleep like cattle. Then what is afraid of me comes and lives a while in my sight. What it fears in me leaves me, and the fear of me leaves it. It sings, and I hear its song. Then what I am afraid of comes. I live for a while in its sight. What I fear in it leaves it, and the fear of it leaves me. It sings, and I hear its song. After days of labor, mute in my consternations, I hear my song at last, and I sing it. As we sing, the days turn, the trees move. What I love about this poem is the realization that we need to acknowledge, to name, and to spend a moment with what we fear, with our struggle. This may feel counterintuitive or too frightening to even imagine. We run from our fears. We try to avoid them. We distract ourselves any way we can. We struggle against them, and sometimes we drown. What is the other way? The physician, author, and teacher Rachel Naomi Remen told the following story. Of all the ways that people commonly deal with suffering, denial, rationalization, substitution, few are places of refuge. Most will disconnect us from the very life we hope to bless and serve and may defeat us in fulfilling the purpose of our lives. The sad part of this is that we can never hide from suffering. Suffering is a part of being alive. Hiding ourselves means only that we will have to suffer alone. In the presence of suffering, everyone needs to find refuge. The difficulty we have in knowing where to find our strength came home to me when I taught a group of beginning medical students a class on genetic disease. The woman who had generously agreed to be interviewed for the class was a young mother who had recently discovered that she carried a gene that would arrest the brain growth of both her young children. Her loss was beyond words. Its dimensions instantly understandable by mothers since the beginning of time. I wondered how she would find a way to go on. And sitting there listening to her tell her story, I began to silently pray for her. The students were young, and I wasn't sure how they would respond. Immediately after she left the room, there was, in fact, a moment of silence when something genuine, intimate, and profoundly human was in our midst. Sadly, it disappeared as the students rushed to a discussion of the disease entity that had caused this tragedy. For the next half hour, they analyzed, labeled, and shared research data and vast amounts of information and knowledge. Slowly, I began to understand that the suffering we had witnessed had far exceeded the life experience in the room. No one had yet accumulated the wisdom to respond to it or the strength to be present for it. Confronted by something so vast and so impervious to all medical expertise, the students were struggling to contain it by understanding its pathology. They sought refuge from suffering in their science. But life doesn't work that way. Science is not a place of refuge. It cannot protect us from suffering. Hiding from suffering only makes us more afraid. This is a lesson I learned from one of you about 18 years ago now. Our congregation was suffering from the massive and sudden loss of one of our parents, someone who had been involved with the creation of this very building. His children were young, his family was devastated, we were all reeling from shock and grief, and his family called me to visit. I headed across the street with one of our longtime members who was currently co-chairing a team with him. We walked into a room of tear-streaked faces, and she immediately began hugging his parents, wrapping her arms around his wife, talking gently and softly, saying how sorry we all were. It was a moment of beauty, mercy, and grace. When we left the hospital that day and we were walking back across the street, I turned to her and I said, "How did you do that? How did you walk into that room and know exactly what to do?" And she said, "When you go through a lot of life, you're going to be hurt. You're going to be wounded. You're going to be scarred and left in pieces. And when you learn to love your own pieces, you just naturally love the pieces of others. You know they're in pain too, and all you can do is love them well." We avoid suffering only at the great cost of distancing ourselves from one another and life. In order to live fully, we need to look deeply and respectfully at our own suffering and at the suffering of others. In the depths of every wound we have survived is the strength we need to live. The wisdom our wounds can offer us is a place of refuge. Finding this is not for the faint of heart, but then again, neither is life. This life is complicated, it is difficult, and we can easily get swept away. To resist despair and sit with suffering, we need one another. We need each other for the long haul ahead. The last thing Alice and I spoke about was my tenure here among you. You may know it is a tad bit unusual. This is my 23rd year here with you, and the average pastorate is around 7 years. Alice was curious how we have managed to stay together for so long. That's quite a bit of relational perseverance, she joked. She's not wrong, and she answered her own question. These 23 years have worked because we've been in it together. As someone shared with me recently, you know what I love about this place? We're so darn awkward. We're awkward and we're brave. And isn't that amazing? We can be awkward and brave together. My friends, as we look out at the years ahead, we have every right to assess it as bleak. We can remember that nothing is inevitable and we don't know where these floods will carry us. There will be major social upheavals ahead. The rapids of these waters will bring pain and suffering and also incredible opportunities for change. People will be moved, outraged, transformed. As we look out at the years ahead, we also have every right to remember that the world will not stop being beautiful, not stop having sunrises and full moons, light pouring through the clouds. And while some places may be scarred or drowned and for a time lifeless, in others seeds will break through soil, flowers will bloom, birds will soar. Rather than pretend that we know how this is going to end, let's do the thing we know how to do. Join together and build institutions that provide people with a vehicle for belonging, meaning, support, and challenge. So may we remember today and in the days to come, feel the despair and do not stop. Feel the grief and do not struggle. The choices are yours to make. Be awkward and be brave and believe in relational perseverance. I think we call that love.
Thank you for that beautiful music. So I invite you now into this time of giving and receiving, where we give freely and generously to this offering which sustains and strengthens our community here, and also our outreach offering recipient, whom this week is Wisconsin Faith Voices for Justice, an alliance of people and communities of faith working together for the common good in our state. They, or perhaps I should say we, as this congregation is a member of Wisconsin Faith Voices for Justice, advocate particularly for public policy change to address the root causes of poverty, hunger, homelessness, and economic injustice. There are multiple ways to share your gifts this morning. Baskets are now being passed here in the auditorium for cash or checks, or you will see on the screen that you can donate directly from our website, fusmadison.org, or find the text to give information there as well. We thank you for your generosity and your faith in this life we create together. Thank you so much for that. We gather each week, carrying with us all the joys, the losses, the celebrations, and sorrows of our days. we bring them here, knowing that they are held in love and in support. We light a candle of gratitude, memory, and sorrow for the life of Jean Tews, who passed away this week. Jean and her late husband, John, were committed and faithful members of this congregation for decades, and we will miss her warm smile and her deep and love-filled laugh. A memorial service is being planned and will be announced in the Red Floors. We join with our Hindu friends and families today, who celebrate Diwali, the Festival of Lights, a holiday which commemorates the triumph of good over evil. We light a candle of strength and healing for Judy Troya, who recently had a fall and is recovering at home. We wish her a quick recovery and hope to see her up and around again very soon. We light a candle of joy, gratitude, and celebration for the 20th wedding anniversary of Becky Burns and Jean Sears. We offer them our congratulations and wish them many, many more years of love and happiness. And Jane and Don Worrell ask us to light a candle of grief for the loss this week of their sister and sister-in-law, Catherine Pistow, after a 2-year battle with uterine cancer. We join them in a deep, deep sorrow that she will miss getting to watch her 2-year-old granddaughter grow up. And now, I invite you to join me in the spirit of prayer and meditation with these words from Elizabeth Tarbox. Spirit of life, I give thanks for the opportunities to love that present themselves in the turmoil of life. Where the light catches the tears in another's eyes, where hands are held and there are moments without words, let us be present then and alive to the possibility of changing. Let us seek to make another's well-being the object of our concern. Let us seek to be present to another's pain, to bathe another's wounds, hear another's sadness, celebrate another's success, and allow the other's story to change our own. Let us stand in the morning on damp grass, hear the syllables of birdsong, and fill up on sweet air that rolls over oceans and continents. Let us look up at the stars and the planets that fill the night sky with majesty. Let us witness the first fresh buds of spring amidst the brown sticks of winter. And for all of this, let us be grateful. Let us not defend ourselves against the discomfort of unruly emotion, nor seek to close down our hearts for fear a new love will come to shake our foundations. Let us instead be open to discovering a new way of seeing an old problem, or appreciating the perfection of a seashell, or the possibility of friendship. For in giving ourselves to what we do not understand, we receive life's blessings, and in taking care of another, we are cared for. Blessed be, and amen.
And now let's rise in body and/or in spirit to sing our closing hymn together, number 1015 in the teal hymnal, I Know I Can. Troubles wait at every turn.
every day. There's too much injustice in this world to not right the balance every day. There's too much pain in this world to not heal every day. Each of us ministers to a weary world. Let us go forth now and do that which calls us to make this world more loving, more compassionate, and more filled with the grace of divine presence every day. Blessed be, go in peace, and please be seated for the postlude.